Anyone respond regarding what was the last topic that we have done? Did we finish off the forms of the business? Can you hear me? Nanake, if you can hear me, please respond regarding my question. What was the last concept that we have done? Can you hear me? Is it audible? Forms of business completed. Okay. That's what I'm asking. If you are not responding, I'm thinking that my voice is not audible. Is it clear? My voice is clear? Okay. So let us start with the next theory of the firm. So here we have once theory of the firm is the next concept that we have in your syllabus. Structure of the firm we have done with 4 forms of structure, and types of business entities or forms of business we have done. And then let me know quickly how many forms of business are there. How many forms of business entities are there, Nana? 4. Very good. So we have done with the features and the concept of forms of business, that is sole trader, partnership firm, joint stock company, and cooperative societies. We have done with the features, and I have said the advantages and disadvantages are there in our history, which you need to prepare for your exam as a question. But the features are very important, as you can direct, once you are thorough with the features, you can frame on your own the advantages and disadvantages. So that was clear, isn't it? The forms of business are clear. So the next concept, write in your notes, theory of the firm. The next important concept in unit 1 part A is theory of the firm. Write down in your notes the heading theory of the firm. Theory of the firm is also known as objective of the firm. Theory of the firm is also known as objective of the firm. So here, once we understand the various organizational structures and the ownership forms is nothing but types of business entities. There is need to understand why people do business. It's very important for each and every business to know, why do people do business? Is it profits that drive the business or something else? So is it the profit that drives the people to business, or is it something else? So like, for example, a sole trader's main objective would be, profits, isn't it? Here, what do you mean by a sole trader? A single owner, isn't it? Sole referred to single, trader referred to owner, single owner. So here, a sole trader will do the business for profits, isn't it? So is it the same for even the other forms of the business? So as per your knowledge, do you think that only the profits can make a business survive in the market, to achieve the competition, to become a market leader, to become number one, or to become a most the outstanding performance of a company? So do you think, as per your knowledge, is it the only profit that drives a company towards the objective of the firm? Do you accept this, Nana? So is it only the profits that drive the businessman towards doing a business or something else? As per your knowledge. Major part is profits, yes. Basically, the each and every right from sole trader to partnership firm, the business purpose is profits. But is it the only that thing that drives it? The businessman? People need drives into the businessman. People needs drives. Sometimes self-employment. So I'm talking about, is the profits itself enough for a business in today's scenario? That's what I'm asking. It's not a measure of earning income, or it's not a measure of self-employment. I'm talking about, here we are in the concept of theory of the firm. Theory of the firm is nothing but objective of the firm. So objective of the firm means, why do people start business? People start business basically is regarding the profits. But is it only the profit that drives a businessman to do a business? In today's scenario, is that enough to have just profits to survive, to become a market leader, or to become the best performer in a company? Best performer of a company in the case of financial terms, and in the case of marketing terms, and in the case of talent management, and so on. So therefore, theory of the firm, it's Geetika is a textbook where we have prepared this concept. It's not there in Aryashri. Don't think that theory of the firm is given by Geetika. Geetika is a textbook where we have prepared the notes from that book. So therefore, theory of the firm is nothing but the objective of the firm. So objective of the firm is, why do people start business? So here we start the objective of the firm right from the traditional way to that of the current market scenario, which are basically classified into 5 theories. Okay, theory of the firm are basically classified into 5 theories. The old primitive traditional one is profit maximization theory. The second one is Baumol's theory of sales maximization. Then the third one is Mary's hypothesis of maximizing growth rate. The fourth one is Williamson model of managerial utility function. And the last one is behavioral theories. So these are the 5. Theory of the firm is basically classified into 5. And let us start with the first one. The first one is profit maximization theory. What do you mean by profit maximization theory? As we are in the concept of theories of the firm, which is also known as objective of the firm, the first and the most traditionally accepted or very widely accepted objective of any business is profit maximization. So according to this theory, the objective of the firm is generating large amount of profit. And as per this theory, one golden rule of business is, the person who risks will reap profits. So what type of risk will he take? He risks his time, his effort, his money, which is kept in the business in return to expect huge profits. So this is known as a profit maximization theory. And economics believe that generation of largest amount of absolute profits is a single most important objective of the business. And it is based on the belief that one's capital and time would risk for uncertain returns. And you know what do you mean by capital? Capital is nothing but the investment in the business. Time referred to, it takes time, isn't it? It takes time for any business to adjust and then reap profits. And here the formula to how to get a profit is TR minus TC. Profit is equal to TR minus TC. What do you mean by TR? TR referred to the total revenue. Who is joining now? Huh? Who is joining now? So TR is equal to TC. What do you mean by TR? TR refer to total revenue. Total revenue and it's nothing but the aggregate sale price received in a year by a company. minus total cost. What do you mean by total cost? Total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost. So here the company incurs cost to do business. The company gets sales proceeds if it sells its products, or it may be a service. So how to attain the profits? TR minus TC is equal to profits. And we have said it is based on the principle that the one who risks his capital and time. Why they have said capital is each and every business initially will run in losses, isn't it? Each and every business initially will run in losses because it starts from the introduction stage. Introducing a product, then growth rate, then stagnation, then decline. Each and every product or a business passes through business cycle. Introduction stage to decline stage. Like for example, we can take an example of scooters. Scooters have started with introduction stage, then rapid growth, then stagnation. Now we rarely see scooters, then decline, isn't it? So this is known as a product life cycle and a business life cycle. So here, initially in the introduction stage, what happens? We rapidly advertise the product, we market the product, the revenue what we get, the sales what we get is very less than cost what we incur. So initially, TC will be more than TR. Then later what happens when we increase more and more marketing strategies, when we increase more advertising, then later growth rate. Growth rate refer to slowly TR would be equal to TC. What we normally say in economics is break-even point. When total revenue is equal to total cost, then we say break-even. Means revenue is equal to cost. There is no profit, neither there is no loss. Then still you further strive for the advertising and promoting and improve your product and improve your sales. Then comes the concept of profit, where TR would be more than TC. Once TR is more than TC, then we say it as profits. Or any one unit sold beyond the break-even is a profitable. Break-even is a point where TR is equal to TC, and no profit, no loss. Any one unit sold beyond the TR, that is break-even, would be a profit. So profit maximization theory is based on the concept that each and every business starts basically to earn maximizing profits or to maximize its profits. The basic rule of here is the person who reaps the person who risks his time, effort, capital, and money will reap the profits. And it's basically on the formula profit is equal to TR minus TC. Time value of money should be considered if the profit is for 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years. It's more than 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years. What do you mean? Just listen, what do you mean by time value of money, Nana, here? So for example, there may be projects, there may be construction contracts which go beyond 5 years. So what happens is at that time, you need to consider time value of money. What do you mean by time value of money? It is a formula based on the tables given in economics, which converts present value of future profits. Listen, which converts present value of future profits, which helps us to decide whether to accept a project or reject a project. Is that clear? So what happens, for example, there is a project which will carry on 5 years and the cost would be 10 lakhs. And the person who has given us the project says he is going to give us 15 lakhs. So 15 lakhs minus 10 lakhs is a 5 lakhs profit. Are you following, Nana? 15 lakhs minus 10 lakhs. 15 lakhs is the client that he has given us, and 10 lakhs is the cost of the project. What would be the profit? The profit is 5 lakhs. It is presently now. But when the project is over, by the time the project is over, we will be in the year 2006. So will this 5 lakhs be same at the end of the 2006? Will this be the same at the end of the 2006? No. Why? Because what happens? the rupee value comes down, isn't it? Every year, the rupee value will come down. Like for example, this 5 lakhs may become only 4,80,000, yeah, inflation, or due to decrease in the value of money. So here, so what happens, this 5 lakhs may become at the end of the year 2022, this 5 lakhs may become only 4,80,000. At the end of 2023, it will be 4,50,000. At the end of 2024, it may be only 4 lakhs. And at the end of 2025, it may be 3. It may be 2. So then we have to think over whether we can accept this proposal or not. Based on the profits, when the project is more than 1 year, then time value of money should be considered to evaluate the profit. Is it clear, Nana? And this concept, profit maximization theory, have been supported by Nobel laureate and Milton Friedman, who says that this is a huge contribution to test of validity for the future business trends and practices to make profit maximization as the main objective of the firm. So this is the first theory, profit maximization theory. Is this clear, all of you? Did you understand the concept of time value of money also? Shall we move on to the second theory? No, only not 1 or 2, please respond so that I'll move on to the next. And it hardly takes time to type yes ma'am, clear ma'am, so that I can proceed to the second one. I observe only few will respond always. Okay, so this is what the first theory. Why I'm insisting is, Nana, Meeru direct ga notes lo nunchi chadute, it takes lot of time. And repeatedly you have to study, then only you will understand what actually the theory is. When I'm here to explain you clearly, please listen carefully so that once you revise, you can easily memorize all the 5 theories as one of the important question in Unit 1. Is it clear? And if you don't understand, please type in the chat box, ma'am, once again, so that I'll explain once again. Okay, now I'm thinking that it's clear for everyone. I'm going to the second theory. So the second theory, so I said, we are going from the traditional to modern. We are moving from the olden days to the current scenario. So profit maximization is not the criteria. In the second theory, Baumol has suggested this theory. Who have suggested? Baumol. Baumol's theory of sales, or it's not of, it's or. Baumol's theory of sales or revenue maximization. So according to Baumol, he has further increased the concept of profit maximization to sales or revenue maximization. What do you mean by revenue? Sales revenue, I told you before. What do you mean by sales revenue? What do you mean by sales revenue? Sales revenue refer to? This is sales revenue maximization. Baumol's theory of sales or revenue maximization. What do you mean by revenue? Revenue is nothing but the aggregate sales achieved during an year. The aggregate sales achieved during an year is known as revenue. So this theory asserts that the managers attempt to maximize the total revenue instead of profits. So here, what do you mean by total revenue? Total revenue is nothing but the total sales achieved during the year. So here, this theory asserts that managers attempt to maximize total revenue instead of profits. Revenue increase, obviously, we will also increase profits. But as per this theory, the concept is it's not the profits that decide the market leader, but it is the revenue that decides, the sales that decides the market leader. So therefore, and it's not only that, often the managers attest the achievement of sales as a leader, market leader, as their pride and prestige rather than profits. So therefore, for example, what was the sales before appointing a particular sales manager, marketing manager, or marketing and promotion manager, and what are the sales now? So if the sales increase, Obviously, these sales managers or the managers attest such success as their achievements and their personal prestige to the company's revenue. And sales, therefore, they normally attempt to maximize sales revenue and also to measure the efficiency of the sales manager. And also here, the objective is to maximize sales and maintain level of profits, which satisfies the shareholders. So here, the objective is maximizing of sales, but not maximizing of the profits. The target would be on sales, not on profits. Why? Because obviously, if the sales are more, total revenue is more, obviously, the profits would be followed by, which would be maintained to satisfy the shareholders. But the main objective here is sales revenue. Like, for example, which is a market leader in automobile industry? Which is a market leader in the automobile industry? Cars. I'm talking about cars. So please don't Google it. If you know, please tell me. Hyundai? No. It's Maruti Suzuki. As per the study in 2021, it's Maruti Suzuki, not Tata also. It's Maruti Suzuki that is the market leader, which has 53% of total sales that have been achieved by Maruti Suzuki. The remaining 85% are the first five players who have captured the total 85% of the market, out of which 53 is of Maruti Suzuki. And even in the case, for example, in the case of AC, who is a market leader that has targeted the maximum market share. So LG is the first company that has captured 1.5 ton. It's LG that have been taken the lead, and the second one is Daikin. So like that. So here a few sellers, or we can say more percentage of consumers even take the review of these market leaders, so that they try to buy if a particular product is a market leader in the market. Do you people, is it the only review of the consumers that you verify to take the purchase decision, or do you even follow or identify who is a market leader in that particular market, in that particular product? How many of you do bother about it? Do you? For resale value? Okay, for the car. Not for the resale value. It's if you want to buy a car or buy a thing, we normally see who is a market leader. 574 has come now. Nana Siyas, please make it a point. All of you should be in the class by 2:05. It's not a theater where you come whenever you want and whenever you go. Please post in the group, in the message. Please be on time by 2:05, all of you. And give the attendance only for those who are there from 2:05 to 3. Is it clear, Nana? Akash and Janavi, are you there? Yeah. So, then why is it so? Even after informing, so this is what your behavior is. So I'll just lock the entry if not. So this is what the sales maximization theory. The second theory, here the objective is not to maximize the profits, but to maximize the sales. So this is what the second thing given by Baumol. Now coming to the third one, Maris hypothesis of maximizing of growth rate. So this theory says it's not the profits or it's not the sales, but it is a growth rate that would be the main important objective of the firm. According to this theory, owners or the shareholders aim out profits and market share, whereas managers aim at better salary, job security, and growth. And here, an important addition in this concept, there is an important concept that have been added in this Maris hypothesis theory. What is it is, he has segregated management and the owners. So this concept is there in which form of business? Management is different, owners are different. Which form of the business is this? Which form of the business is this, where the management is different and the owners are different? Yes, no answer? Which form of business? We have done 4 forms of business, isn't it? Forms of business entities. It's not Cadbury. Who is this? Joint stock company. Very good. Joint stock company is a company which has huge operations where the promoters are the CEO, board of directors, and the managers who run the business. But who are the owners of the business in joint stock company? Who are the owners of the business? Shareholders. Very good. The shareholders are the owners of the business, and the people who manage are known as promoters, nothing but the management who takes care of the affairs of the business. So Maris have highlighted this concept where he has differentiated or segregated the objectives of the owners and the objective of the managers. What would be the objective of the owners? It would be the return, that the shareholder get maximum profits, and the manager, what would be the management and objective would be here, the management objective would be the better salary, job security, and growth, career growth of the managers. And here, to identify this, there are 2 set of goals that to be achieved, that is identified with capital G. Capital G is equal to GD plus GC. What is capital G? G is nothing but growth of a firm, which is dependent on 2 variables, that is GD and GC. What is GD? GD is nothing but demand, growth rate of demand of the products of that particular firm. Whatever the products that are dealt by that particular company, there should be demand, growth in demand of that particular product, plus growth rate of capital supply. GC is equal to growth rate of capital supply. There shouldn't be any shortage of capital supply in the business. Like for example, suddenly the demand of the product is increased, GD is increased, then simultaneously there should be increase in GC, that is capital also. If not, what happens? Demand can't meet supply. What happens if demand can't meet supply? In such situation, there would be fall in sales and people shift over to the other product when the demand doesn't meet the supply. So this is what 2 important. In the case of growth rate, there are 2 important goals that should be achieved to achieve growth. That is G is equal to GD plus GC. GD refer to growth rate of demand of the products that are dealt by the company, plus growth rate of capital supply. Capital supply refer to availability of more funds to increase the production to meet demand with that of supply. So therefore, and for to achieve this objective, Maris confirmed 2 constraints. What do you mean by constraints? What do you mean by constraints? Constraints refer to 2 drawbacks. That is, the first one is managerial constraint. Managerial constraint refer to availability of skilled managers. So it's what very important for each and every company to manage the talent. Talent management is one of the tedious tasks that would be done by the companies. Why? Because a person who has a skill, capacity, knowledge will definitely survive anywhere. But how do the company manage such talent so that he stick on to the same company? So availability of such skilled managers is what very important. Then financial constraint, that is availability of funds and resources. How best will the company maintain the funds so that there should be never be a shortage of funds in order to the company whenever it is required. So this is known as Maris hypothesis of maximizing the growth rate. We have done 3 A's. One is profit maximization, one is sales maximization, then the third one is growth rate, maximization of growth rate. It's not this profit, it's not the sales, but it should be growth of the company. Growth of the company is segregated by two. One is by the managers, one is by the owners. What are the objectives of the managers? What are the objectives of the owners are given clearly. And to achieve this, there are two set of goals that to be achieved to maximize the balanced growth of a firm, that is G is equal to GD plus GC. Is it clear, Nana, till here? The three theories of firm or objective of the firm: profit maximization, sales maximization, and the third one is growth maximization. Any doubts? Any doubts in this? Shall I move on to the fourth theory? Yeah. Can I brief it once again regarding what, Nana? Regarding which theory? 561. Which theory do you want? Third one, that is growth rate. Growth rate is here, according to this theory, it's not the profit maximization, it's not the sales maximization, it is growth. Growth of what? Growth of the firm. Here, the objective is growth of the firm. And this person, that is Maris, has done the first important thing is he has differentiated the objectives of owners are different, the objectives of the managers are different. Why? Because managers are the people who run or manage the business, and owners are the people who expect returns. So what do the owners want? Owners want returns and the market share. And what do the managers want? Their job security, their career growth, and their salary. That is what their objective. And to achieve this, there are two important things that should be achieved, two important goals that should be achieved. To achieve this growth, G is equal to GD plus GC. What is GD? GD is demand, increase in demand, or maximizing the demand of products that are dealt by the company. Like for example, Colgate. Colgate has how many product lines? It has a number of product lines. So increase in the growth of sales is what? GD, demand of the products, plus the second important thing is increase in availability of finance, GC, capital. ఇప్పుడు demand increase అయితే మనం ఏం చేయాలి? We have to meet the demand, we have to increase the supply also. So if we want to increase the supply, what we need funds, isn't it, to increase our production. So there should be also availability of capital. If we satisfy these two, we can achieve growth rate or growth maximization theory. Is it clear now? Is it clear, Nana? Yeah. Now let us move on to the fourth theory, Williamson model of managerial utility function. So here, now the focus have shifted not for the profit, neither the sales, neither the growth. It's the manager's utility. The focus have totally shifted to the manager's utility. And listen carefully, what do you mean by manager's utility? Utility refer to satisfaction. So here, how well are the managers satisfied? How well are the managers able to control the objectives of the business, influence the objectives of the business? Then that would be the better objective of the firm, is what this Williamson model is. Is that clear? According to this theory, the manager would be more satisfied when he can apply his discretionary power to maximize their utility function. What do you mean by utility? Utility is nothing but satisfaction, with the constraint of maintaining minimum profit to satisfy shareholders. As it's very important to satisfy shareholders, shareholders will definitely expect returns, isn't it? As I said, if these shareholders are not satisfied, they may lead to dissolution of a company, isn't it? I have even discussed how can a company be closed down. in forms of business. So one of the reason would be finances, one of the reason would be even the shareholders. It's always important for the company to satisfy the shareholders by maintaining the profits and to satisfy and give off their returns. So therefore, this is what very important for each and every company to satisfy even the shareholders. But here the priority or the focus have been shifted to managers utility, that is satisfaction of managers. And here the utility function refer to UM. UM is nothing but utility of managers, or the satisfaction of the managers is dependent on managers' salary, job security, power, status, powers to influence firms' objectives. So these are the variables based on which the UM is dependent. What is UM? UM refer to satisfaction or utility of managers. To formalize this model, Williamson took measurable proxy variables. What do you mean by proxy variables? He has taken certain variables to measure. And what do you mean by perks? Variables like perks, slack payments, luxurious environment, car, and so on. What do you mean by perks, slack payment? Do you have an idea? What do you mean by perk visits? What do you mean by slack payments? What do you mean by the benefits given to a manager? Do you have any idea? What do you mean by perks? Perk visits, extra benefits. Yeah. It's not a synonym, but normally perk visits refer to the non-monetary benefits provided by the employer to his employee regarding an extra benefit or regarding a sign of motivation to the employee. These non-monetary benefits, and what are those? Such as rent-free accommodation, RFA rent-free accommodation, or a car, a chauffeur, a cleaner, a gardener, a servant, and so on. No, bonus doesn't come under perquisite. Perquisite refer to non-monetary benefits. No. Monetary kaadu. Monetary is known as allowances. Always remember, as per the terms of finance, monetary benefits ante allowances. Non-monetary benefits refer to perquisites, such as house rent-free accommodation. What we say it as a driver, a cleaner, a chopper, and so on refer to perquisites. So if these are provided, it doesn't create what we say it as a motivator, but it avoids negative motivation. So such type of things doesn't create positive motivation but avoids negative motivation. So therefore companies provide such benefits to its employers. And what do you mean by slack payments? Slack payments refer to if a particular team has finished the project well in advance, before the delivery date, in such situation the company as a sign of motivation provides slack payments. Slack payments refer to a token of appreciation in the form of cash because the project have been completed before the due date. So such payments would also create motivation, not directly positive motivation, but avoid negative motivation. Okay. Now going to the next one, luxurious environments such as AC, fridge, and so on, car, and so on. So such variables, if provided, the manager would be satisfied, and the satisfaction of manager utility is what the criteria in the objective of the firm, and which can be written as UM is equal to SMID. What do you mean by S? S is a salary. Then M is a manager emoluments. Emoluments refer to the perks, slack payments, and so on. And the discretionary power. What do you mean by discretionary power? Power to influence objective of the firm. That is, the powers are given for the managers to influence and to change the rules and regulations, the strategies, the policies of the firm. To what extent they are, the managers would be more satisfied. So this is what the model given by Williamson. It is managers utility function. It's not this profits, it's not the sales, it's not the growth rate. It is the satisfaction of the managerial utility. Why? Because the managers are the actual performance who lead the company towards the profits, who lead the company towards the market leader, and who leads the company towards the highest performer in the market. So therefore, it is the manager's utility that is considered, who has talent and who has the capability to perform better. So any doubts in this? Let us move on to the last theory. Nana, if you are clear, I'll move on to the last theory, behavioral theories. Any doubts in this theory? If any doubts, clear? Okay. So here, let us move on to the last theory of the firm. I observe always the 520, a lateral entry would answer and a 572 would answer. Now going to the last theory, remember who has given which theory. Okay, the first theory have been supported by Friedman, William Friedman, and the second theory have been supported by Baumol. The third theory have been supported by Maris, and the fourth theory is Williamson. Okay, the fifth theory have been supported by Syrett and March. These are the two people who have proposed this theory. And what is this theory? This is the current scenario that have been followed. Here, the concentration is not towards maximizing, but it is towards satisficing, not satisfy. It is ficing, satisficing. What do you mean by satisficing? Satisficing refer to decide a particular course of action that will satisfy minimum requirements necessary to achieve a particular goal. And this model is based on bounded rationality. What do you mean by bounded rationality? So this is more real in nature, which is more real in the uncertainty of the business scenario. Why? Because it's not always compulsory that the management will take exceptional decisions which are always leading to profits and benefits. So anything may happen anytime, isn't it? As we are in a real-time situations where the problems to the business comes anytime from anywhere. So here it is not maximizing, but it is satisfying. That is, unna situation low, how better we trace the problem, how, on the basic cognitive limitation of the mind and the time available to make the decision, how best we take the decision is known as satisficing, not maximizing. In the content, this is not always possible, as we are not, it's not a movie where everything is created and edited, isn't it? It comes naturally as we are facing this pandemic, which was never expected earlier, which has huge impact on GDP, national income, all the sectors, isn't it? So therefore, facing such situations is not always possible, because tracing a problem is also one thing. Then what is our mindset where a manager has, so that he can take the exceptional solution for a problem based on his cognitive limitation on mind. And the last one is the time available to make the decision. If there is a lot of time, then multiple options can be evaluated and the best can be selected. But what if the time is not there? So based on all this cognitive bounded rationality, how best you satisfies the information and take the decision is known as satisficing model, that is known as behavioral theories. So this is what the concept of theory of the firm, or what we say it as objective of the firm. Actually, I have planned to give a quiz, but because the server is down, as there is a huge load on the server, the telescope is not at all working to upload the quiz. So I couldn't upload the quiz. I'll start with the next concept, that is sources of capital. Okay. So is up to here clear, Nana? Any doubts? Theory of the firm, one of the important concept in Unit 1, Part A. Theory of the firm, we have 5 theories. Profit maximization theory. Then we have sales maximization theory. Baumol's sales maximization theory, Maris hypothesis, then Williamson model, then last one is behavioral theories given by Siret and March. So are the 5 theories clear? Any doubts in any theory? So that I'll move on to the next concept. I will forward the PPT to you and as well the PDF of whole notes once the topic is over. Okay, so shall I move on to the next one? We still have 10 minutes, isn't it? 13 minutes as there is a no quiz. So I'll just start with the next concept. Yeah. Is 566 there in the class? 566. Yeah. So any doubts, Anna? Clear? How many theories do we have in theory of the firm? Yeah. Okay. So let's start with the next one. So the next one is capital and sources of capital. So we have done with structure of the firm. We have done with types of business entities. We have done with theory of the firm. And this is the last concept in Unit 1, Part A, capital and sources of capital, which also includes in a syllabus conventional and non-conventional sources of capital. Okay. Conventional and non-conventional sources of capital ante ide. Capital and sources of capital anna ide. Sources of capital for limited company anna ide. Sources of capital for limited liability company anna ide. Is that clear? So this is known as capital and source of capital. This is one of the important concept as how a company, a joint stock company, raises its finance. Okay, raises its finance. Let us start with the definition. Capital is defined as a wealth which is created over a period of time through abstinence to spend. It is aggregate of funds used in short term and long term. So capital is nothing but the wealth created, and it may be created by raising different sources of finance. And is it to just keep it in the bank or just keep it in the cash counter? No, it is in abstinence to spend to gain profits. And here, in simple, we can say a capital is nothing but a long-term fund used in short term and long term. And let us be clear, what do you mean by short term and long term in the case of capital or in the case of business? A short term is a period of 3 months to 1 year. Remember always, when I insist short term ante, it's a period of 3 months to 1 year. And when I insist the period as long term, it is 1 year to 10 years or 20 years. Is it clear, Nana? Short term is a period of 3 months to 1 year. Long term is a period of 1 year to 10 years or 20 years. So therefore, capital requirements, short-term capital requirements and long-term capital requirements are used as the fund that is known as capital. So here types of capital are further classified into fixed capital and working capital. So write down in your notes capital and source of capital. There are 2 types of capital requirements. One is fixed capital. In fixed capital brackets, you write long term. Write down in brackets long term. And second one, working capital, in brackets, you write short term. There are 2 types of capital requirements, fixed capital and working capital. Fixed capital is for long term. Working capital is for short term. So let me differentiate what are these two. Fixed capital is invested or incurred once in the lifetime of the business, such as purchase of machinery, purchase of furniture, purchase of building, purchase of premises of the business, and so on, are known as fixed capital requirement. And what do you mean by working capital requirement? These are to meet short-term obligations of the firm, such as payment of salary, payment of rent, payment of interest, and so on, are known as working capital requirements, which are recurring every month or every year. Is it clear? So these are the two types of capital requirements that a company has: fixed capital and working capital. Fixed capital once in the lifetime of the business. Working capital would be recurring every month or every year. And how do I arrive at working capital? The formula: current assets minus current liabilities. What are current assets? Current assets which can be quickly converted into cash with zero risk, such as bank balance, short-term investments, cash in hand, so on, are current assets. And what do you mean by current liabilities? Short-term obligations, which should be paid immediately. Okay, which should be paid immediately within 1 year, are known as current liabilities. So current assets minus current liabilities is known as working capital. Working capital is nothing but, what do you mean by working capital? What do you mean by working capital? 7V, can you answer? What do you mean by working capital? 7V is there in the class? 7V, V for victory, not B. 7V, V for victory. Vizag. 57V is there in the class or not? So, Nanasiyar, ask 7V to talk to me after the class. Okay? Is 7F there in the class? 7F. Yeah. Nana, what do you mean by working capital requirement? What do you mean by working capital requirement? Capital is divided into two: fixed capital and working capital, isn't it? Working capital is amount of money or resources used for what? For which type of needs? Current needs. Very good. Or what we say it as? Or what we say it as? It is recurring every month. Short-term obligations, to meet short-term obligations of the firm. And what is the short term? It's 3 months to 1 year. So such type of needs are known as working capital. And what are the examples that I gave you? Working capital requirement examples. Paying salary. Machinery is not working capital, fixed capital. Machinery is an example of fixed capital once in the lifetime of the business. Machinery we purchase, yeah. And what happens if the machinery become obsolete? Obsolete and we cannot use it or out of fashion, then again we purchase a new one. Isn't it? It's not recurring, it's once in the lifetime. Life unnanta sepu we use the machinery. Yeah, current bill, very good. Okay, so these stocks, what stock? 568. Which stock you are talking about? Raw material used in the business? And a stock, and what do you mean by it? Shares. Shares the company will issue, it will not buy. We are talking about the company's capital requirements. Okay. Company will issue shares. People will buy the shares, in return give money to the company. Okay. It will not buy stock. It may buy stock of other companies, but not of its own. Okay. So only in the public limited companies, 51% of shares will be held, but not in private limited companies. Okay. Now let's go back. So these are the two types of capital requirements, fixed capital and working capital. Now let's move on. Methods or sources are one and the same. Methods or sources of capital are one and the same. So listen carefully, which are classified into three: long-term, medium or mid-term, and short-term. And here if the question is regarding conventional, long-term is termed as conventional. Conventional is nothing but traditional or widely accepted or very old. Okay, conventional ante widely accepted, traditional or old method of sources of finance. Now, medium term and short term are non-conventional, what we normally say it as modern. Okay, so don't get confused if he asks not methods of capital or sources of capital. What are the non-conventional sources of capital? And you need to write mid-term and short term. So in long term, you have 6. In mid-term, you have 4. In short term, you have 4. So 6 plus 4 plus 4, there are 14 points in sources of capital. Is it clear? Long term is conventional, mid-term and short term are non-conventional. Conventional refer to traditional or widely accepted, non-conventional or modern. Okay, now let's start with the long term. Long-term source of finance are classified into 6 points. So I think the time is 2:58. So I don't think we'll complete this. I'll start this in the next class. Okay, that is on Monday. I'll start with long-term funds, sources of finance, right from the own capital. 6.41. So totally there are 14 points which we take in the next class. Is it clear, Nana, till now? Yeah. The next class will start with the own capital. Nana, please be in the class, all of you. 7V is not there in the class. If you're not there, it will be difficult for you to prepare for the exam. As well, it is important for you in your future. And Siyas, please, any one of you forward me the attendance, Nana. Okay. So that's it for today.